Good morning. Welcome to your daily morning digest for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. I'm your host, bringing you 15 minutes of markets, global events, and life wisdom to start your day. Grab your coffee and let's dive in. First up, let's talk about Robinhood. The trading platform just reported its fourth quarter results for 2025, and the numbers tell an interesting story. Despite missing revenue expectations, Robinhood delivered record profits and saw its platform assets surge to an impressive $324 billion. That's a 68% increase compared to the same quarter last year. The company posted diluted earnings per share of 66 cents in Q4, and for the full year 2025, they hit record revenues of $4.5 billion with diluted EPS of $2.05. Now here's what caught my attention. Equity trading volumes jumped 68% year over year to a record $710 billion, and options contracts traded increased 38% to $659 million. Net deposits reached $68 billion for the full year. But despite these impressive metrics, the stock slid because revenue came in slightly below what analysts expected. It just goes to show that even when a company delivers record-breaking numbers, Wall Street's expectations game can still punish the stock. Robinhood added 1.8 million new customers in 2025, proving that the retail trading boom isn't slowing down anytime soon. Switching gears to the toy industry, Mattel just had a rough day in the markets. The company behind Barbie and Hot Wheels reported Q4 earnings that fell short of expectations, and their stock tumbled 9% as a result. The infant, toddler, and preschool category declined 10% due to what the company called strategic exits and weakness in the Fisher-Price brand. But it's not all bad news. The American Girl doll line actually showed growth for the fifth consecutive quarter. CEO Ynon Kreiz is emphasizing that 2026 is a pivotal year for Mattel as they shift to what they're calling a brand-centric strategy. They're making strategic investments that will impact the bottom line this year but are designed to accelerate growth in both revenue and profit starting in 2027 and beyond. This is a company trying to pivot from just being a toy maker to becoming an entertainment powerhouse. Remember the massive success of the Barbie movie in 2023? That's the playbook they're trying to replicate. Investors are clearly skeptical about whether this transformation will work, but Mattel is betting big that their intellectual property can drive value beyond just plastic dolls. Now let's look at the energy markets. The American Petroleum Institute released its weekly crude oil inventory report, and the numbers surprised everyone. Crude stockpiles surged by 13.4 million barrels, way more than anyone expected. To put this in perspective, when inventories rise unexpectedly, it typically signals weaker demand for oil. This is bearish for crude prices because it suggests that either supply is outpacing consumption or economic activity is slowing down. The previous week's data was much more modest, making this 13.4 million barrel jump even more striking. For anyone tracking energy markets or inflation, this is worth watching. Lower oil prices could help ease inflation pressures, but they could also signal broader economic weakness ahead. Over in Argentina, President Javier Milei's libertarian government is pushing sweeping labor reforms, and it's setting up a major clash with the country's powerful unions. Milei's proposal aims to attract investment and revive economic growth by overhauling Argentina's rigid employment market. The reforms include reducing severance pay, cutting employer contributions per worker, limiting the right to strike, and making wage negotiations between companies and unions more flexible. This is classic libertarian economics: reduce regulations, make labor markets more flexible, and hope that attracts foreign investment. But Argentina's unions are powerful and they're not going down without a fight. Protests have already begun, and the Senate is scheduled to debate these reforms. Argentina has struggled with economic instability for decades, and Milei is essentially betting that dramatic free market reforms can break that cycle. Whether he succeeds or becomes another footnote in Argentina's long history of economic experiments remains to be seen. Looking at the broader US markets, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq both dipped on Tuesday while the Dow Jones managed to edge up to its third record close in a row. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq were weighed down by disappointing retail sales figures, while investors also waited for key labor market reports. The Dow rose 43 points to close at 50,179. This mixed performance shows that the market is in a cautious mood right now. Some sectors are thriving while others face headwinds from economic data that isn't quite meeting expectations. Tech stocks in particular have been volatile lately, with major names seeing significant swings after earnings reports. Finally, in tech news, Datadog had its price target lowered by BMO Capital Markets to $165 per share. The monitoring and analytics platform has been facing pressure from multiple analysts. BMO previously cut their target from $215 down to $170, and now they've lowered it again to $165 while maintaining an outperform rating. Other analysts have been making similar moves, with KeyBank lowering their target to $155, citing concerns over the company's 2026 guidance. The stock currently trades around $133, so even these lowered price targets suggest significant upside. What's driving these downgrades? Concerns about AI competition, guidance that didn't blow anyone away, and general valuation compression in the software sector. But it's worth noting that D.A. Davidson reiterated their buy rating with a $225 price target, citing AI momentum. This is a stock where analysts are clearly divided on the near-term outlook. And now for our global news stories. The 2026 Winter Olympics are underway in Milan and Cortina, Italy, and these games are making history. This is set to be the queerest Winter Olympics ever, with a record 47 publicly out LGBTQ athletes competing across various sports. To put this in perspective, just a few decades ago, most of these athletes would have stayed closeted for fear of backlash or discrimination. Today, they're competing openly and proudly. Among them is American speed skater Conor McDermott Mostowy, who joins this historic cohort. The legendary Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the former AC Milan and Sweden football star, even opened the games for BBC coverage, talking about what it takes to become a champion in Milan. The Pride House has opened in Milan to welcome LGBTQ athletes and fans, creating a space for celebration during the Games. This isn't just a sports story, it's a story about progress, representation, and the power of visibility on the world's biggest stage. Our second global story takes us to space. NASA's Artemis II mission is scheduled for March 2026, and this is a big deal. This will be the first crewed mission to travel around the moon since Apollo 17 back in 1972, that's over 50 years ago. The crew includes NASA astronauts Reid Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Koch, plus Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. This mission is the crucial test flight before NASA attempts to land humans on the moon again with Artemis III. Think about what this means. We're going back to the moon, not just with robots but with people. The Artemis program represents humanity's return to deep space exploration. After decades of low Earth orbit missions, we're finally pushing back out into the cosmos. The 4-person crew will venture farther from Earth than any humans have gone in half a century. This is the kind of story that reminds us that human achievement and exploration are still very much alive. And now, let's shift gears to today's Life Wisdom segment. Today we're exploring a concept from the Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, one of the most influential spiritual teachers of our time. The topic is simple but profound: the miracle of mindfulness. Thich Nhat Hanh taught that when you're washing the dishes, just wash the dishes. When you're drinking tea, just drink the tea. When you're walking, just walk. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But here's the thing, most of us are terrible at this. We're washing dishes while mentally rehearsing a conversation from yesterday. We're drinking tea while scrolling through emails. We're walking while planning tomorrow's schedule. We're never fully where we are. The miracle of mindfulness is about being fully present in ordinary moments. And I want you to understand why this matters beyond just feeling good in the moment. When you're constantly somewhere else in your mind, replaying the past or projecting into the future, you're living in a simulation of reality, not reality itself. You're experiencing your thoughts about life rather than life itself. Thich Nhat Hanh taught that mindfulness is the foundation of a meaningful life because it's the only place where real life actually happens. Not in your memories. Not in your plans. Right here, right now, in this breath, in this sensation, in this moment of awareness. Here's a practical way to think about it. How many meals have you eaten without really tasting them? How many conversations have you had while thinking about something else? How many sunsets have you seen without really seeing them? Each of these is a moment of your life that you missed while you were somewhere else. Add them up over years, and that's a significant portion of your existence spent in distraction. But here's the hopeful part: the present moment is always available. No matter how scattered your mind has been, you can return to right now. You can feel your feet on the floor. You can notice your breath. You can look at the person in front of you and actually see them. This return to presence is always possible, and it doesn't require any special equipment or years of training. It just requires the willingness to stop and pay attention. The practical application is simple but not easy. Start with one activity today, just one, and do it with full attention. If you're eating breakfast, taste the food. Notice the textures, the flavors, the temperature. If you're talking to someone, listen to understand, not just to respond. Put down your phone. Make eye contact. Be there. Thich Nhat Hanh said that the present moment is the only time when we can truly be alive. The past is gone. The future is uncertain. But right now, this breath, this awareness, this moment of being present, this is where life is actually happening. Don't miss it while you're somewhere else. That's your morning digest for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. Thanks for joining me. Go make it a great day.